on Gaga. Now they look to move forward, but Izayaki dives off the start, and the bomb crashing through. Bomb over the top, Elsa looking for a pick, and it seems like they should be able to stop him. But that being said, Fleta fights two with the pulse bomb. Both supports. A huge play from him, but isn't going to be able to do Somber when it is opened up in the EMP.
The EMP not only negating the Ant Matrix, but also now the NYXL, they're moving right on the point. They find 3 picks. Flora's down, but it doesn't matter. They still have the advantage.
Swinging. Jude falls first, and it doesn't look like Shanghai wants to give this one up yet.
That's 5v5 right now. Lip, though, plenty of room to work with here at the McCree. Takes down Mondu.
Bernard's out of the mech right now, and the pulse bomb stick onto Jonak. But Yakung coming in with the retaliation. He completely eliminates Gushue Bernard.
Alrighty, and we are back and just about to jump into our final series of the evening. Shanghai Dragons getting ready to go up against the NYXL, and the stakes are quite high for this match still, Avril. Guangzhou Charge obviously not going to be in contention to get into the top 4, but both of these teams still going to be vying for a spot.
And it's pretty simple now. You know, whoever wins gets to go in the top 4. It's that simple. Guangzhou Charge have knocked themselves out of contention. Now, if Guangzhou were able to beat Hangzhou, especially if it was a 3-0, then you'd have a really interesting case where you kind of need to see NYXL step it up even further. But now it's pretty simple. Yep. You win, you go top 4.
Yeah, you know what else is simple? Getting your MMA skin.
Ooh.
It's in the store right now, so go pick it up before it goes away, or else you'll look like a loser because all of your friends have it and you don't. So make sure you grab that before it goes away on May 11th.
There it is. And speaking of Maze as well, I think we're going to be seeing some good May gameplay out of, you know, the specifics of like Ivy on Newark Excelsior, stuff like that, because New York have shown quite a few different looks. It's going to be a tough game, don't get me wrong, but New York, I think the most important thing is they have the fate in their own hands. They're not relying on another team. You know, it's not like what we saw at the Charge where they would still require New York to win here. New York just have to get it done themselves. It's through their own merit. It's if they lose, it's because of them. You know, at that stage, there's nothing else holding them back. It's so clear now, the pathway into that top 4 into May Melee, and what a storyline it would be as well if Shanghai actually don't make it into the May Melee, our first tournament of the year for the season. Shanghai, that a team that has been really hyped up, really powerful performance from 2020, is, I don't know if you'd say struggling at the start of the season here, certainly not living up to the same expectation or reputation they had previously, but ultimately probably a team you'd expect to be in the top 4, and now that 3 spaces have been taken away, it's like, well, Shanghai, can they still make it in?
I mean, you would never, you know, coming into this year, you never really would have anticipated, given the minor changes that have happened for the Shanghai Dragons, that they would be the last team getting qualified in. But yeah, if they don't make it, then that's a huge boon for NYXL with this young and budding roster that's, you know, recently come together under the, you know, the veteran status of Jonak. Obviously, there's still plenty of players who have been playing for a long time, such as Yakpung and Bianca, as well as Ivy. But, you know, it would still be a huge success for them to be able to take this spot away from one of the teams that was in the global top 4 in the 2020 season. Taking a look at Fleta and Ivy, on their Tracer per 10. You can see that, you know, Fleta, he's got that veteran status, and he comes out on top.
Yep, I mean, Tracer so far is going to be a matchup that I think Fleta should have. For what it's worth as well, Flora and Ivy both bring the Tracer to the table. I think if you just look towards the compositions a little bit more in-depth, Ivy's going to be your May guy. He's going to be here for the Echo as well. Flora's going to be playing more of the hard hit scans in terms of the snipers between, you know, McCree and Ash. And so we're looking towards Ivy and Flora to be starting for New York, and not really towards Feather or Guangbo to be playing at all. And Feather and Guangbo, that 2 players that I think in the preseason kind of at least impressed me. They looked like they were pretty strong, but I know that New York as a team are still trying to work through getting some of those jitters away, because the rookies definitely came into the first week a little bit shaky, and now as we head towards later weeks, could it be the New York Excelsior kind of resurgence? We had a pretty decent match from NYXL versus Seoul, even though it was a 3-0. It was a competitive 3-0, and, you know, as much as that might sound like a bit of a meme, that can still mean something, because now that they've gone past that, can New York have taken those lessons and bring them over to Shanghai to maybe find a win?
I mean, we saw Spark take the, you know, lessons from their last 2 series and really utilize them, so maybe New York is going to be capable of the same exact thing. First, though, we will go ahead and take a look at the starting 6 for the Shanghai Dragons, see who they're going to be fielding off the bat, and it's not going to be shocking whatsoever. We will have Fleta and Lip as our DPS duo, and everything else is stock standard.
So no DM to start things out with, and, you know, we said this yesterday when Shanghai played against Hangzhou, but it does seem like when DM's in on the roster, Shanghai don't quite get the win. I'm not going to say it's a correlation. I'm not too sure exactly what it was. DM also kind of got outperformed by Shy yesterday, but so far everyone else has been as well. Over the New York side of things, kind of already mentioned this one, but there's only a couple of substitutions that could be made, and that's in the DPS line. It's Feather and Guangdong starting on the bench. Those are the two rookies. Ivy and Flores a little bit more veteran players have been mostly starting out for the New York side, and they'll be starting again.
Alrighty. Well, let's go ahead and take a look, see where we're going to be heading in. It'll be Ilios on control to kick things off, as we already have the players loaded up into the game, so not wasting any time. We'll be jumping straight into the action. Then Anubis, Blizzard World, Dorado, and Lijiang Tower. If this series does deliver and takes us the distance, we had our 5-map set to finish off the night last night, Avril, so why not another one?
Sure, I mean, look, if another team
What
can
else are we
take
gonna do?
Shanghai to 5, it's like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I got some NA VODs to catch up on, but it's been a struggle because there's so much Overwatch on right now, and Apex plenty busy. And as we head into the first fight, there's going to be Ivy coming through an Echo. Both teams running pretty much the same thing. Lip with the Ashe, though, and they do have a Mercy to pocket as well.
Yeah, so we'll be Flora playing it a little bit closer here with that McCree. For the pile drive, good knock away with the coach gun from Lip, denying that damage out from Yakpunk. Sweater just looks for a target, finds two pretty big hitboxes that he wants to try to take out. Get the sticky bombs to connect, however. So it'll just be
I'll say one thing.
a delay.
A little bit weird to see Izayaki come through on towards the map. That's not normally a part of this composition. You'd be expecting a Zen, maybe a break, just not the Baptiste coming out. So, can we see some healing up? Can we see an early wall, an early window? What we're going to see is an early death of Lee Jae-gong, which is not really good for Shanghai. At least it's responding.
Yeah, it does fall to Flutter. He gets a quick response, gets that beam out, takes down Ivy, so it does make it a 1-for-1, but obviously the healing going to be that much more limited. Going to push him off the top here. Mortality Field does get used. Bianca on his own, so it's not going to be enough to take that out in any sort of timely fashion, so it does just pull back. And like Celt, they establish control of the point to start things off. Sleep Dart onto Izayaki, just playing forward, but in the meantime, Fate eliminated. Yakpunk finding the kill. Now with Fleta fallen, it's a very good look at the start of the map here for New York.
So, I mean, they had the 30% go their way as well, so it gets better from here, right? Because they win the fight kind of late while the teams were skirmishing and had that cap going for them, which means they get even more percentage. Izayaki's, did he even use the window there? I'm not too sure, but he's reset his high ultimate. Lee Jae-gong's finally back. And, this is where Fleta has at least a minor advantage coming through on the ultimates. Bob's going to come into contest.
It does. Looking to push him up the high ground. Minefield also going to be used by Yakpunk. Rolls back over. They do force the Immortality Field out. Now the self-destruct finds Fleta. Good pickoff here from Bianca, and it's a fantastic start here for New York. I know I just said it, but it just keeps getting better and better as time goes on. Fate now waiting to respawn. And Shanghai, they need to do something very quickly here. 70% of the board currently for NYXL. JJoNak still going to be holding on to this Nano. They nearly have a rally, a zoning, Deadeye potentially there as well, just to buy extra time and try to get up to 99%, if not, get some kills.
By the way, I think one of the better targets for Nano is actually on towards Ivy's Echo. Yeah, we've seen JJoNak put the Nano to Bianca previously. And honestly, if you put it onto Ivy, you can suddenly have the damage output, contest Fleta really well, and Fire Nade landing on the Void as well. That's an early Mortality Field force.
Have to shove him back. Immortality Field does not last very long, as Bianca was the recipient of that Nano. Lip already going to be eliminated. Ivy does get knocked out of the duplicate. Fleta finds the finish on him. Bianca pulling back, trying to stay alive. Fleta goes for the duplicate. Khan being Flora, picking up the McCree, who has since taken out Fate. Deadeye used. But he's zoned back by that self-destruct, but Shanghai Dragons, they need to get control of this card right now. Fleta building up another Deadeye, canceling that one instantly. Now looking for the kill to try to take out JJoNak. It's quite a bit of damage in on him. Void will be able to come in and scoop up the final blow. The flip does come in. Shanghai Dragons not going to be going out without a fight. They get the flip, but how long can they hold it is now the question.
Not too sure where Nano came from in terms of JJoNak, where he put it on. I assume probably Ivy. Ivy actually duplicates over towards the map that Izayaki was playing, which is a really strange pick from Ivy. I would have assumed, copying over onto almost anything else could have been better. Now I'm going to finally drop that with Shanghai coming through, losing left. They need to raise this one if possible. Should be raising it.
It was Nano onto Bianca. He went to the standard target for himself, but opening dig as they push forward, forcing Izayaki back up with these guys right now. So they take on with the Valkyrie and Matrix available for Izayaki. They can get into a position to actually utilize this right now. Fleta so far back. Void knocked out of the back. Fate with no HP. Izayaki now going to be dead. They're not going to find any value here. As Flora just fans the hammer, burning down the bomb. Deadeye trying to get the catch on the Lee J Gon. He will not find it. The Yakpunk does. Get the pile driver up. Yakpunk has the finish onto Fleta. The flips back in at 99%. The pile driver interrupted in mid-air. And that will be the first round taken by New York in pretty concise fashion.
And now I still have to look back towards Shanghai's comp overall, and it's still just a little bit confusing for me. The map doesn't make a lot of sense here. Izayaki goes towards the Ana, towards the end, and I'm thinking that's definitely going to be much better. I would have even preferred the Zen. And if you question the Zen, I mean, there's not a ton of backline pressure outside the fact that Yakpunk can die, but it's not like we were seeing, you know, traces on that map or anything. So I'm just a little confused by the back. But we'll move over towards Lighthouse now, where, you know, JJONAK's now coming through the map. Is that going to be real? We'll see. Could still be a couple of options here available. I'm expecting Echoes to come into play. Both teams looking like they really want to lean to Echo plus Ashe at the same time. I think J-Gun will be speeding and then possibly change the Mercy.
All right, well, zipping forward. See Ivy match with the Echo. This is going to be fairly evenly matched up here with JJONAK moving over to the Baptiste and Izayaki back over onto his Zenyatta. That was a really big boon for them yesterday, at least in his own damage figures, but already Flora, both supports gone, gets the headshot onto the Zen. Void broken out of the mech, and this is a catastrophic start as the point unlocks, and NYXL will get dominance first here. Locking this one down, Izayaki just going to go straight back over onto the Ana now.
Yeah, I mean, Lip dies, Lee J-Gon goes over towards the Rez, the angle's been held by Flora, who gets even more, and they just punish the Mercy from there. It's all over. It doesn't even matter if you Rez Lip. It's another early neutral one by the side of New York Excel, and they'll continue it. I mean, Fate's down as well, so there's not going to be a risk. Lee J's going to just use it. You probably just want to wait for Fate to respawn anyway. He's pretty quick. Decent trade, and now as Fate rolls in, they might have to pressure the 6v5.
They have a slight little window to work with here before Yakpunk is back up. You can see they're still quite a little ways away from the point. Void's going to start inching forward. Flora gets a headshot on the Lip. Rez comes out, so already putting that one right back on a cooldown. They get the jump in, however. Fleta up over the top, has the beam. They get rid of two members here as Bianca will lose out of the mech. And it seems like this time around, Shanghai get themselves onto the point and should be able to get this cap going significantly faster than we saw on Well. Finishes there on a Friday. Ivy somewhere, bio-nated. Low does get finished off here by Void in the end. Flip comes in, and it's just 46% on the board so far for New York, so decent timing here from the side of Shanghai.
And they finally shut down Flora as well, because otherwise, so far in this kind of Ashe versus Astral, Flora's won every single time. Like, we've yet to really see Lip shut down Flora, and he needed Fleta to come on in with the focusing being, dropping the damage via Void's micro missiles as well, getting that off angle. And 20%.
Oh.
At least they will have JJONAK down. JJONAK does get a window first, and maybe they can still use that.
Yeah, windows out, but the rest gets used, and now they can't bring Ivy back into the fight. Fleta capitalizing, comes in from behind, gets some decent sticky bombs in on a Flora. Not enough to get a kill, however. Doesn't want to over-aggress. Ball slow for the pocket. Healing is there from Lee J Gon. Top him back up. Bob going to be sent out onto the point. Minefield as well, layered in. Bobby Bob duel right around the corner here as they look to try to get Void out of this mech. Haven't been able to make it happen yet, though. And this is Shanghai taking a lead as far as that percentage on the point is concerned. Ivy now gone. Floor so low, so back. Still getting chunked out as well as Fate plays up top. Almost gets punished for his efforts, but will manage to roll out the safety for now.
Late res onto Ivy. Void's got Friday down. This is what we're talking about. When you get these kills, you bait the Mercy reses, you can get the Mercy down, and finally Shanghai can find a lot more advantages here. That's both supports gone. Shanghai should win this one without too much trouble.
Self-destruct thrown out there from Ivy. Matched by Fleta. Neither going to be finding any kills, but Lip getting a cheeky coach gun shot onto Yakpunk sends him off the side of the map. And this is looking like a major total swing here for Shanghai Dragons. Utter dominance right now, still with a plethora of ultimates to work with. Self-destruct is on them off the point, the Valkyrie, the Nano, and nearly another Bob. And NYXL, they need to turn around and fight right now if they want to take this 2-0.
JJONAK's got to sleep onto Lip, so that's good. Lip will be delayed in terms of finding this Bob. Lip's actually got a lot of value. So far on the Ashe, Bob's come through. Fleta's got the kills.
Yeah, two swift turnarounds there as Fleta does go down. They find JJONAK, they find Friday. There's no support to the fight now from the side of NYXL. Self-destruct going to be used by Bianca. He does manage to make it back in, but Liv gets another Coach Cut knockoff onto Yakpung, sending him off the side of the map. Just playing around those grapple timings, making sure that he cannot recover. And with the cleanup onto Ivy, the delay tactics are eliminated, and it's 146% here, and Shanghai Dragons will extend us into a third and final round on Ilios. We'll be jumping into Ruins now to determine who will be starting off this series 1-0.
And I hate to be basic here, Ilios, but it just seems like the team that's running the Batiste right now is, you know, they are eventually losing, and eventually you're seeing that play move over towards Ana. That was Izayaki on Well. And then eventually he's like, you know what, go back to Ana. It was JJoNak on Lighthouse. He's like, you know what, go back to Ana. And eventually they do go back towards Ana, but that opening path to me is still really confusing. I'm trying to work it out in my head. Is it because they... Okay, that's unfortunate, like, for it. Unlucky. Misses the wall. I'm thinking, is it because they want to, you know, have their Ashes play off the windows? They're trying to pocket their Ashes even harder with the Immortality fields? Like, what could it be? Whatever it is, I just feel like the Ana should just be better at the end of the day. So as we move forward, we're not going to see that again, but we are going to see the ball game play. We're going to see Liv coming through towards the water floor, staying on the Ash.
See what Liv can get done. Checking all these flank angles, giving some protection to Izayaki. Now just looking for a head to click on. Or starting to cheat forward over towards where he was just spotting out. In the meantime, Yakpung with that Discord Orb up, just trying to stay alive. Just managed to grab the Mega Pack, but Fleta is just farming this Pulse Bomb off of him.
Stun.
They get the stun. Yeah, Lijiang finding the final blow there with the whip shot. Gets the punish. Now they dive in on the JJoNak, getting the elimination. So this is going to be a very nice, really one fight. As I say that, though, Ivy looking to turn the tides, manages to find both supports. Pulse Bomb lobbed down, doesn't get the stick, but Bianca still well within the blast radius, does get eliminated. Cleanup is there, Fleta takes out Ivy. And that is going to be the cap coming in for the side of the Shanghai Dragons. Only 12% netted here for NYXL.
Carry performance by Fleta there as well, so even losing both supports to Ivy, while Fleta will still get the kills required. Early Pulse Bomb, obviously. The kill into Yakpung really kind of just sets the tempo. Kind of herds Yakpung towards EJ Gong. Stun into a whip shot. It's enough. And now New York aren't going to be the team that starts with the advantage of the neutral. So for the first neutral flight win, we'll go finding the way of Shanghai.
Looking to get on the JJoNak right now. Discord Orb out onto him, but cannot get the finish. Trying to keeping him topped up. Fate going to be gone. Ivy finding the... Just playing around the flanks here. Looking for some shots. Rally out from Friday. Offering up, or armoring up rather, he and Bianca. Flux. Void looking for a target. Manages to catch two around the corner, but can't weave in any extra damage. In the meantime, Fate will take down Flora. Ivy with the Pulse Bomb. Gets rid of Lijiang. Bianca follows up, finds Void. Hangs on by a thread. No HP remaining for him. As, yep, Trance does get popped. JJoNak just topping himself and Bianca back up. They look to try to desperately get this flip, but it's still going to be a man advantage here for the side of the Shanghai Dragons. They have the faster respawns to get in on top of Bianca, who is without any kind of additional support down on the point. They finish him off. And JJoNak, oh yeah, this is not going to happen. Fate from one side, Fleta from the other. They get the kills, and this is starting to really unravel for the side of NYXL.
A problem for New York there as well. They were still down on members. You saw how low HP they were. JJoNak is, you know, forced the tempo trenches to get everybody back online. Lip even then still finds a kill on towards, I believe it was Ivy, while the trench was running. And on top of that, Izayaki's got his own trench, so it's like they counter it. They can play their own. They can stay in the fight. 90% plus. This is looking like it could be a blowout here. It's not quite 100-0, but there's one last shot here. You need to see Bianca pop this Flux as well.
Minefield in the back from Yakpung, just trying to block out the ramp here. JJoNak gone. Lip gets the headshot. Friday now eliminated. Lip follows up another one. Finds Ivy. Does get collapsed on by Yakpung with the damage it's done. It's just the tanks left alive with no support whatsoever. The Discord Orbs out from Izayaki are just going to rip them to shreds. Everybody goes down. It's going to be an extended team kill. And that is going to be the Shanghai Dragons in very convincing fashion, taking Ruins and taking Ilios.
Especially on that last Ruins, I mean, it wasn't convincing to start with. Let's remember, you know, we did see, you know, the beginning when you had Well that wasn't quite going the way of Shanghai. You start to see the comeback on this map over towards Lighthouse. But really, Ruins is what made the difference there. I mean, we see Lip coming through on the Widowmaker. Widowmaker versus Ash. Wasn't a lot of shots coming through from Lip early, but when we started getting towards the end of Ruins, man, Lip started to really come online. And that was with Fleta starting things out on the Tracer so strong.
Yeah, really solid turnaround here from Shanghai. A bit of a rocky start. It was looking good overall, especially Flora with his Ashe. Wonderful performance at the beginning, clicking heads even through on the Lighthouse. But unfortunately for them, they just get rocked a little bit too hard on Ruins, and they do end up losing this first map. But there's still plenty more that can be played. We'll see if they can tie us up when we come back from the break, so do not go anywhere.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest, and by Indeed. We help people get jobs. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League, and by IBM, the official cloud and AI partner of the Overwatch League.
Alrighty, and we are back. Map 1 out of the way here for our final series of the evening. Shanghai Dragons and NYXL duking it out for a final spot in the top 4, but it is Shanghai Dragons who draw first blood. They take Ilios 2-1. Very close at the beginning, Avril, but in the end, Shanghai Dragons, they just kind of started getting a read for how NYXL was going to be playing this one. It was a little bit messy, a little sloppy from time to time, fairly chaotic, but they persevered, they rose above the chaos, and they closed it out.
And you're starting to see Shanghai now putting the trust into Lip to play the snipers. I think if the match were reversed, and what I mean by that is if Shanghai were playing New York yesterday on this map for Ilios, you would have probably have seen DM being subbed in over Lip to play, specifically Ashe and also the Widowmaker, whereas now you're seeing Lip just staying in. He's picking up those heroes instead. He's performing on them. And between Lip and Flitter especially on that Echo on Lighthouse actually performed really, really well. You look over towards the Tracer early on, towards Ruins, another great performance. And if we take a look at, in a vacuum where the DPSs are between the two teams, both Flitter and this is the most fun stat I actually have, Easyaki had nearly double JJoNak's damage done, and they both had turns on Zen, they both had turns on Bap, they both had turns on the Ana as well, and it's 7,294 damage to 4,027.
I mean, and it does kind of make sense. JJoNak, he's playing around with this this younger squad of players. He's not, this isn't the NYXL that people knew for 3 seasons. So it is a bit different. So he has to be less self-reliant. He can't really go out on his solo missions and pop off and, just get these multi-kills like he has been able to in the past. He has to do a little bit of extra babysitting. He's got to make sure that he's keeping these front lines alive, especially when you're playing around with the Wrecking Balls as well, because they're going to be zipping all over the place. So you got to make sure that he's, staying on point with these Orbs of Harmony. So it does make sense that JJoNak is not going to be as individually impactful in a damage role, even while playing from support, given the season. But you know, it's just about finding that cohesion, having everything finally coming together, and having the players be a little bit more self-reliant, so JJoNak doesn't have to kind of keep them on a leash as much. That's just my initial read on it, I think. But I could be wrong. I don't know the inner workings of the team. I'm not a mind reader, as it turns out. I
can tell you my takeaway. My takeaway from that really is that on the DPSs. Yeah, the Shanghai DPS is out damaging the New York DPSs, but even then, I would say the secondary damage position, which is the flex support, especially when both teams are playing the Zen, Izayaki is pumping out, at least in that example, a significant amount more. So maybe that needs to come through more. I mean, JJoNak, to be fair, JJoNak did play the Ana in the BAP as well, but the Izayaki also did play those two. So, both of these flex supports have been across the board today. We'll head into Temple of Anubis and see if that maintains, or maybe, JJoNak will have a much better performance this map, at least in keeping up with damage. It does depend on whether he goes Zen or not. Obviously, Zen is where you farm all the damage stats as a flex support. If you're looking over towards the Ana, maybe not so much.
Well, moving into Temple of Anubis yet again. We'll see how they fare. You can see right there on your screen that this is the worst assault map of all time for the Shanghai Dragons as a franchise. See if they can add another win to the board, or if New York can just make it a little bit worse for them. We'll just be seeing the Winston D.Va here. JJoNak moving back over onto the Ana. Nothing too shocking for this defensive setup.
So no double bubble here, but they are going to have the D.Va, which, as we kind of looked at in our previous matchup with Hangzhou Spark playing versus Hangzhou Charge, a little bit more, I would say, resource being put towards Ivy on the Echo here, as opposed to just, lopping it in for Yakpong. We're still looking towards the Nano Boost to be the main win conditions. Izayaki going to be matching on towards Ana, and the Nano race is on.
Well, looking around that left side, at least initially. Pulls back over to main. Looks like he's going to be jumping up, grappling on top of the archway. Gets a couple shots in, but Flora selling again here at the start with the Ashe. Does manage to take Fleta out of the sky. Given that there's no mercy, we will not be seeing a res, but Lip comes around. Does get that punish. Bianca presses up, takes out Fate. Barely manages to stay into the back.
Really important to get that kill to Fate, by the way, because they really couldn't get the res into Flora until now. I thought maybe they wouldn't be able to at all. And so slowing down Shanghai's attack is pivotal. Because they got that kill, they'll be able to get the res. They can't get the mech back easily, though.
Well, Sleep Dart already burned. Yakpong receiving the Nano Boost at the back end of that, but hasn't really been able to inch forward too much. Into the pack goes Fate, gets the punish there onto Bianca, getting rid of the Baby D.Va, the Nano now expiring. Ivy uses the duplicate, does manage to copy Void, builds up, has his self-destruct ready to go, but now the front line has been broken down. Bianca just now respawning. Ivy letting the bomb go up over the top, doesn't manage to find anybody, and JJoNak in the meantime will fall. Spletta beams him into oblivion. 2.5 minutes remaining. This is going to be Shanghai making their first steps in onto point A, and it seems like they should just be able to take this, barring a miraculous turnaround here from NYXL. Primal's not yet up. Self-destruct is there defensively from Void to try to clear this point. They are going to look for this. Whip shot comes out to try to offset the bomb, still makes its way out onto the point, but Fleta with the sticky bombs finds the opening kill, jump up into the air. As they try to get rid of Lip, they just force back his position for a little bit, but Ivy's still taking so much damage. Li Jigon will finish him off. Yakpong barely comes out on top, getting rid of the enemy Widowmaker, as JJoNak takes a sleep, a bio, and a death. Seems like this is going to be the end of it here, as Yakpong is unable to use that Primal.
I think Yakpong at the end of the day knows probably to save it. And if he does use a Primal, that would just be another ultimate given away. Maybe you force a couple more out. They did get the duplicate gone, so in terms of double cap pressure, it's going to be mostly there for Shanghai with 5 ultimates, especially Nano coming online. But losing the duplicate loses some of the longevity and some of the staying power they would have had on B. Hopping over towards Winston's is very powerful. JJoNak's not that far behind on Nano, so both teams have quite a bit to do here, and both teams can do quite a lot as well.
Oh man, look at the tracking there from Lip. Just knowing exactly where Friday's going to be going. Manages to get the shot there, so 2 body shots to finish him off. Primal in the back from Yakpong. Bianca using the self-destruct, does manage to find Li Jigon. Unable to raise the shield, and now with Izayaki out of the fight, that's no supports available here for the side of Shanghai. Yakpong does have to exit, but he's just going to be fueling quite a bit of ult charge back over to Friday here, as he looks to get that next rally online.
Speaking of rallies, Li Jigon loses his rally, dies to the self-destruct, and despite the opening kill coming through on towards Friday, they'll be able to play the respawn advantage adequately. Comes back onto a Brigitte. And Nano still being unspent by either team. Lip now on towards the replay. Fleta will stay over towards the Echo, has halfway towards the duplication, and Ivy will find it early. And now this is where the grind begins. I suppose Izayaki can just go towards a nano field early. He's got multiple nano targets. Even a nano onto the lip on the Reaper is actually pretty good as well.
Good cover there from Bianca. Keeping Yakpunk protected. Nano boost now going to be used onto him. Duplicate there from Ivy. Copies Fate to put another Winston into the fight for them. Void almost loses out on the back. Duplicate will get shattered. Floor with the pulse bomb, however, does manage to catch Lip. Seems like he did not have his shift available, so can't go into his Wraith form to try and avoid that damage. Does get picked off. It's just going to be a little bit of time bought now.
I think it's important for Shanghai to not have overspent there as well. You see NYXL using ultimates, Shanghai back out. They're saying, okay, you'll use ultimates, we'll receive them, we'll back and save our own ults. You even have a situation where, you know, Izayaki could have nano, could have saved Lip, chose not to. They don't mind losing that fight. And here we go, rotation coming on through into Dark. They can make this successful. Nano over towards Fate to rush on through, or, you know, maybe Lip as well, like I mentioned. A lot of good targets here, and no nano from JJoNak. In fact, it's just down to the primal from Yakpunk.
All right, Izayaki throws out the nano, connects on the Lip. They'll leave him on the ground, taking a bit of a nap now. Get the finish in. Well, yeah, Fleta does get eliminated. Bianca finding the kill. So both DPS now going to be gone for the side of Shanghai. It only cost them Ivy on the fight. Overall, not too bad of a trade. They get rid of that nano boost out from Izayaki, allowing JJoNak to go ahead and build up another one for the next onslaught. Do manage to get 48.5% here on the board. But other than that, Shanghai going to have to pull back and take another crack at this.
Well, now NYXL have actually ultimates to play with. I mean, that was Shanghai's advantage there. I'm a little bit surprised that Fleta doesn't use his ultimate, like why hold on to it. Just dives to Bianca, had the opportunity to at least copy Bianca's mech, do something with that. We'll find himself a Winston now, and nano boost almost available from Izayaki. Izayaki actually just used the nano, so that's really fast.
Guy out from floor, not going to be able to find too much. Ivy gets the duplicate out onto the Reaper, but does get taken down. And Void comes up big. 3 members gone on the side of NYXL on the back of the self-destruct. Ivy finds one in exchange. Does use that Reaper duplicate, but will fall in the end. Floor now desperately trying to swap over onto the Tracer. Yakpunk onto the Wrecking Ball. They will touch in on the point here. The shield comes in, but Lip pops that Death Blossom, manages to knock Bianca out. Whip shot gets the finish onto him. NYXL fighting tooth and nail, trying to stay in onto the point. Still going to be down somebody. They need to get some picks in pretty quickly here, but that's not what they're looking for. Floor falls, and that's the closeout on the point, but still not too bad here for NYXL if they can have a strong attack. 1 minute and 14 seconds is all that Shanghai finishes with.
Unfortunately for NYXL as well, 5 alive and a body block onto Friday, so can't quite touch the point, can't continue to bleed that timer down. I'm sure that even if NYXL don't actually win this fight, they could bleed down another 20 seconds, 30 seconds easy, just with how many players are alive. Yeah, JJoNak and Friday got blown up, but they come back, they use the nano, they use the rally, and the fight can certainly extend. So here we go. I think this is the self-destruct. It just gets lobbed in, and it's Fleta. Wow, Fleta actually knocks everyone into the skies and opens them all up to the self-destruct.
It's juggling them right into it. Fantastically done from Fleta. Great awareness. I mean, that's exactly where you want to have them anyway, so it was just good coordination alongside Void to make that play happen. That's him, a very nice little explosive pop-up there in the kill feed.
And who knew Fleta's a top-tier Winston? You know, we're discovering these things as we move along Overwatch League today. Just
I knew.
Fleta's got a Winston in the back pocket. Fleta, what else has got Fleta, you know, going on these days? Because that was perfect. That's normally what you would see out of, you know, a well-known Winston player, getting a perfect juggle into a corner, revealing everybody into the self-destruct. And I was thinking in the back of my mind, you don't normally just see a triple kill on the self-destruct unless, you know, JJoNak and Friday and all the rest were just not playing well. Do they just die to it randomly? No, usually it's a setup from somewhere. Just didn't know where the setup was from. And who knew it was actually Fleta on the Primal all along. So that's going to be a cap. 114's respectable. Not the best time you've ever seen, but they'll get it. They'll at least confirm a time bank.
Very nicely done. I guess if Fate ever has an off day or, you know, falls ill, they can always just put Fleta into the main tank role and have him play Winston.
Well, they got enough DPS to cover for Fleta, so, you know, maybe.
Yeah. They always say Fleta is the meta. Well, now, out on the attack. Robs forward on the Fate is Ivy. He's had some pretty decent build times here for his duplicate ultimates. Let's see if he can keep pace with Fleta. So far, it's looking pretty good for even being the attacking, but yeah, I was gonna say the attacking Echo, but the beam comes out and Yakpunk does fall. Jump around the back now, Void gets the pinch in. They just completely have Friday contained in that room. There's nothing that he can do. Does just get taken down, and Fleta is really feeling it. He dives well into the back just in front of the spawn. comes up with yet another 2 kills.
Yeah, this is problematic because they're still cleaning up right now. There's still no counter trades. Ivy doesn't really want to walk out of spawn. Lets to get capped by Lip. And I'm not too sure why Friday and a bunch of other NYXL members from the side room, like, they shouldn't be rotating when you're playing this kind of dive composition when Nano is the clear win condition. Lip, what are you? That's too far forward from Lip. He was down to 1 HP and actually dies. That's unreasonable. Or is it? EJ Kong needs to survive, though.
And they do manage to bring it back into the fight. In the meantime, Friday does die. Flora finds Fleta, gets the duplicate out onto the Winston now as he looks to take the fight over towards the point. Jumps into the back. Need to get this primal up. Just a little bit more to go. Pops it instantly, gets the corner here. Onto Void, the sleep dart comes in. The Baby D.Va survives, and he's pistoling his way back into the back. Can he actually get it? The answer is hell yes, he can. Now has that available. Straight back into the fight, throwing out the rockets.
Fleta's coming.
Damage. Pulls back over to safety. Fleta is coming in, as you say, and he still holds on to this duplicate. Beam out, Friday, out of the fight. Nano Boost is there onto Yakpunk, has to pop the Primal Rage, but Fleta follows up for another kill. The bomb from Flora, finding Lip. Izayaki going down. It's a messy fight, but one that NYXL certainly still could turn around. Good little corner push here onto Void, gets him out of the mech, denying him any access to the outside world. And maybe that is going to be good enough. It seems like it will, given the tanks are still going to be in the respawn room. NYXL get the cap on A.
Good final sleep dart from JJoNak there as well to shut down Fleta's copy over towards the Ash, but what's going on with Lip, man? That death really cost Shanghai the defense. As soon as Lip goes down, you're thinking, oh no, can we res this one? Can we not? They go for the res, but it's an aggressive res. Obviously, Lee Jae-gon has to really die for it, so then Nano as well. Fate goes deep into spawn, and at this point, Shanghai are just, you know, intermixing, brawling hard in the spawn of New York Excelsior. That's not really where Shanghai need to be. Trying to take some aggressive space once again. It's Nano over towards Fate, and I think Fate's just got to get out of here.
Yeah, this doesn't really net them much of anything. The timing not really great, and then YXL just kind of dispersing away from the Winston, so he only zaps in, gets maybe, 8 to 10% towards that ult. Flora, great double tap.
Not again.
It's the elimination on the Lib, and obviously, they have swaps, so he's just going to be dead for in the meantime. They cannot try to get that res off. Fate barely surviving, and as I say that, will get hounded down. Ivy presses forward, has the beam, also now has the duplicate ready to go. Waiting for an opportunity. Lip on the rejoin, gets a little bit of revenge for himself. Duplicate going to be used there by Ivy, but instantly loses it to the self-destruct out from Void. So now just has to go right back into the sky. Try to get the elimination here on a Fleta, and it is just phenomenal on the back of the sleep. In onto the point, taking this one up. NYXL certainly could still close out this round. This half
Fate no
here,
Primal.
you could say, with a decent time bank. Fate now gone, as you say. Primal Rage unable to be used. Lip falling low. Manages to throw out the bomb. Gets killed onto Yakpung. Is still alive. Gets topped up as he dips back into the spawn room. Bianca trying to keep people zoned out. As JJoNak gets left on slept. Knocked out of the park. And again, blow for blow traded back and forth here. A bit of a messy fight, but at the end of the day, it's going to be NYXL who have to retreat.
I know, yeah, looking at this, it's NYXL nearly had a double cap going. They had the one thing coming up through, which is decent. But losing supports is not going to be good enough. You even had a situation there where the frags were still coming through for New York. I mean, Fate dies. He's got about 80-something%, so no chance to save himself. Izayaki, I think, was at 99 for Nano, so couldn't save Fate either. Ends up not needing it. They get the kill to JJoNak, and it will be enough for now. But that was looking pretty tricky. It's another aggressive Nano. I don't know if I really recommend these, but with Ivy dead, maybe this time it is actually worth.
Yeah, they have the backup to actually accompany him this time, so it's not just Fate going in all on his lonesome. They'll push him all the way back over to the spawn doors. And it's just fairly brutal here in the end. Void just pulled back onto the high ground. Ivy will find a little bit of a return fire kill, but Bianca going down. 3 members still waiting to respawn. There's nothing really that can be done. They can just wait. Flood us back into the fight now.
Yeah. The problem I have with these plays, and that's a cute little sleep dart, it's decent. The problem I have with these plays from Shanghai is the fact that, despite the kill to Ivy, which will buy them another 10 seconds, you are trading resource for no response from New York. So yeah, they win that one. Out of Fate, he walks up and, Fleta and everybody get some kills. It looks pretty good, but this is costing Shanghai ultimates when New York are just banking up. New York already have 1 second. So they're banking up to a stage where they have a huge ultimate bank now. They get to start walking in. They just got to get past these Shanghai guys who are still using ultimates. Okay, Primal's going to come to, but Void might get demeched.
I mean, Bianca is going to be knocked out. Self-destruct is going to be used. I mean, honestly, I don't really mind it that much. They deny the remake here from Bianca. Let's get the Bionade out, finishing off Fleta, but another Bionade from Izayaki clips onto both of these supports yet again. That's twice in a row. The pulse bomb from Lip picks off JJoNak. I don't mind them taking the fight this far away because they have to force NYXL to use some of their ultimates just to get over towards the point, just to get over towards this main archway. and then they have that defender spawn advantage to just try to continue to turn the fight. Bob from Flora will find Izayaki, but it's 2 members gone for NYXL, so they have to continuously try to reset. Already the time advantage is going to be there for the side of Shanghai, and that's if NYXL can finish this cap.
Maybe the dust is finally settled here because Fate's finally down, and here we go. Yakpong's going in for an extra kill. DJ God, no rally for now.
Oh, the wake up.
He'll respawn the rally in just a second. This Nano is beautiful. That's no more supports.
Oh, the Bionade is enough to help him take him out, rather, but the supports were down. Bianca now pushing forward, finds Flutter in onto the point yet again, looking to get that second tick. Contest now starting to come in. It's Ivy looks to duke it out here with Lip. Slips over onto the opposite side. Rally rolling for Lee Jigon, trying to stay alive through that Bionade, but Ivy presses forward, does manage to find the execution. Dive into the back. JJoNak going to be eliminated now. 1-for-1 on those supports as Izayaki will fall in the end. Yakpong getting the kill. Ivy dead, Flood up with the McCree, jumping over the top, flashbang not going to peg,
nice.
tries to go for the fan, the hammer, but Lip comes in to the rescue, takes out Friday, the OT is going to bleed away, Bianca can't get anything with the self-destruct, the finish is going to be there. It's a great swap for Flutta in the end, onto the McCree, they get control, they manage to stave them off. NYXL looking to make that OT run at the end, but they just can't quite make it happen. And that's going to be the Shanghai Dragons moving up 2-0 now in this set.
Game adventures for sure. I mean, Fate towards the end there was like, just basically on 1 health, a couple of percentage points away from collecting the Primal. If he dies without the Primal, NYXL's capability of capping is very high at that stage, but just the Primal coming on through is going to be enough. And when we kind of revisit the aggressive, holding there from Shanghai as well, I think my point would have been that usually what happens when you try and play aggressively on the defense is the defensive team doing that ends up having to spend more ultimates than the other team trying to attack. But in this case, NYXL were finding it so difficult to get out of spawn. They're finding it so difficult to, find spacing again. They had to burn ultimates just to come back in, and then suddenly it becomes worth it for Shanghai. So, yeah, it's this very intricate kind of ult economy trade that has to happen where you need NYXL to burn ultimates in response for that to be good, and Shanghai got that and they won.
Well, they did. Seems like we might have a couple swaps coming in potentially here for what could be the final map of this series of the evening, as Void is just flailing his arms around. Set him up outside of a used car dealership. It's good advertisement right there. But that's it for the first 2 maps. Map 3 going to be coming up in just a few minutes. We'll see if NYXL can reply, can put a win on the board, and can keep their hopes alive here of being able to pull off a reverse sweep. Otherwise, Shanghai Dragons looking to take this 3-0. So don't go anywhere, guys. The action continues in just a few minutes.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles. Stay in the game.
Alrighty, welcome back. Well, now backs against the wall. NYXL looking to pull off a reverse sweep here in the series to take down the Shanghai Dragons. But with that map win on Temple of Anubis, Shanghai Dragons have locked their spot in the top 4. So it is settled for the APAC region here at the May Melee. NYXL, they're playing for pride and honor, no longer to make them, make their way into the tournament.
Yeah, to explain that a little bit, I know it's probably a little bit disappointing for New York and their fans today, but essentially what's going on here is, I said earlier that whoever wins gets in, but due to the fact that map differential is going to be how tiebreakers are resolved, even if New York actually win their reverse sweep, they get a 3-2 result. Both teams will be sitting at a 2-2 record, and Shanghai have got enough maps that they would still have a higher map record than New York, even if New York can reverse sweep from here. So for New York, it's just about getting the pride. Unfortunately, there's no, like you said, Seth, there's no more opportunity for NYXL to make it to the main melee, even if they do win. Shanghai's, their map record is just certainly too good. So this is why we say, like, every single map really counts, and unfortunately for New York, they have to kind of revisit some of the other losses they had over the course of the qualifiers. There are 3 other matches as well. Could they have done more there? Could they have lost less maps, won more maps? The answer is always going to be yes, and I mean, Shanghai did do that, which is why they've put themselves into a position where they can't lose now, even if they lose.
Yeah. Well, I did mention some changes before the break. We do see Feather coming in for Ivy, as well as DM back in for Lip. And we will be moving to Blizzard World yet again to see if this is where it ends. I mean, do we just get another 3-0 series here at the hands of the Shanghai Dragons, or can NYXL dig deep enough to bring this back from the brink and extend this? Because, I've got nothing else planned this evening, so I'd rather just keep on going. It's only 9 p.m. here in Korea. I know it's 10 o'clock for you over in Aussie land. So I say we just go ahead and push it as far as we can.
Why not? I mean, at the stage, it's just free practice mode now, right? So, get Feather in for a little bit of gameplay. Feather, who has not had a lot of opportunities to play for NYXL, I believe he was there in the opening week for a map or two, maybe just a one map. Feather's been one of those rookies that had some hype behind him. And maybe now an opportunity to live up to some of that hype. He's probably most well known for playing Echo, a lot of those projectile-based heroes. Ivy's been mainly playing the Echo now, so it's time to give Feather a shot to see, for New York in potentially the last map or the last couple of maps here, a few maps, if they can make the reverse sweep happen. Can Feather be their guy?
And we'll find out. See how DM fares as well, because, I mean, Lib's been playing a phenomenal series thus far. Get him some extra time here on the stage, see how DM fares. You can see there, it's not been super great for NYXL in the latter half of their matches versus Shanghai, winning the first 5 and then losing 6 after that. Wrecking Ball's playing forward. Fate immediately out the gate, pushing up, looking to see what they got going on. I think they'll find themselves in a near mirror. Just going to be leeching on this Mercy again Friday, sticking with the Brigida.
And DM coming through on the team as well for the Ashe, so it's an opportunity for Shanghai to give DM another run. Like I said earlier, it's starting to look like Shanghai would rather run Lip on these sniper heroes than DM, but since they've already qualified through, why not just give DM another run? Why not see if DM can maybe redeem the performance from yesterday? Give DM a win finally. I don't know if DM has actually won a map so far for Shanghai, but recently, certainly the answer would be 0. It would not be the case, so could it be now? They have high ground going their way. Fate's fairly deep as well.
Oh, a lot of damage out on Bianca. So you look to slowly tick him up. Fate kind of rolling through, kind of botching it a little bit. Doesn't get himself up top, try to displace anybody or get a pile driver in, but off screen, Yakpung takes quite a bit of damage as to pop his self-shield. Flora, however, will get eliminated. Flora again, continuing to excel, look rather strong with this Ashe pick, but playing into this shield, this barrier here, is always quite challenging. Pile driver there from Fate, kind of that too much. It's already 80% nabbed on the point, but Shanghai decided to pull back for just a moment, take a breather, try to get everybody topped up as Izayaki falls quite low.
Valkyrie is going to do that, though. Valkyrie is going to really help out the team at this stage in the game. And for Shanghai, can they find an opening pick here somewhere? Young and the rest of NYXL are trying to move up, and they'll lose Jonak, and here it is. This is where the cookie crumbles. No Transcendence, 97%.
Oh, man, and it's just an explosion of death and misery for New York. Flora trades one back as Fleta falls, but Discord Orb out on the Yakpung. So that much more difficult for him to do anything. The bomb will also take down Void, but inevitably will fall. Transcendence does get popped by Izayaki, but they'll make their way back over onto the point. Void will get res back into the fight just to get him that much closer, and they will get the cap here onto A. So 4.5 minutes on the clock here for Shanghai Dragons to work with as they get ready to move into the street space.
Izayaki was forced to pop the trance there, so decent counter trades coming through, especially from Flora. Does force the extra ultimate to be used. Not comfortable from Shanghai, and a price to pay. I think that New York definitely taxes away, which is important. But it was, when we start looking at this B, normally the defensive team of New York here should have high ground control, but they've completely lost. So Yakpong's gone for a long rotation, wants to challenge the payload, finds himself in 1v1 with Fate and just eating a bunch of damage. It's New York having to challenge for their own high ground position that they've lost.
And that was maybe the saddest thing that I've ever seen. Yakpong just being and battered every twist and turn, trying to get on that flank angle. When he finally arrives, he goes with the pile driver and just gets absolutely destroyed. That's now a reset from Bianca and JJoNak, and this is just so much space gained for Shanghai.
And you think about what we saw from the Guangzhou versus Hangzhou match as well, where, you know, Guangzou Charge were here, but they had zero high ground control. Here, Shanghai have everything. They've got the free push onto the payload. They have all high ground, which they took previously. And like you said, Yakpong's going the scenic journey through Blizzard World, seeing what all the rides are, and, well, it takes a bit of a ride back to the spawn room. And it has to be the full retake now. New York have to spend ultimates for this. They're going to get ulted.
Yeah. Pulse is out. Flux from Void will find Bianca. Unable to keep him alive. JJoNak does pop that Transcendence, but it's not going to be good enough. Rez coming in for Lee Jae-gon. They cannot stop him. Puts DM back into the fight. Push can continue for the most part. I mean, there's such an ult advantage for the side of NYXL. They need to win out this fight, but JJoNak is gone. Now Yakpong dead. We'll get a kill from beyond the grave with a minefield, but it's very widely won here by Shanghai Dragons. They can't quite posture up onto the point yet, as Bianca is still hovering around, but as they break down those shields, put the Discord Orb in onto him, Izayaki will get the kill, and that's going to be point B.
Izayaki's not really been massively challenged here either. I think looking over towards Death Zero, both Lee Jae-gon and Izayaki have not died yet. You need to see Feather kind of step it up on the flanks. DM takes down JJoNak, and JJonak's not had a good performance in terms of just dying to everybody. Friday's gone. Both supports on NYXL spending a lot of time dead here.
Yeah. Many deaths being had right now, shared between JJoNak and Friday. Picked off at the end as well, as just DM and Fleta were able to push up so far forward, get that extra little bit of a stagger onto them. Coming up the left side, looking to gain control of this corner. Accretion in. Bob chunked up into the air. They will knock him down. Bob's just going to be traded out. Flux there from Bianca, but takes so much damage. Has to throw out the protective barrier. Fate will get finished off. They need to keep Bianca alive, and they're just unable to do so. So much pressure being applied. The Sigma crumbles. Dynamite out. Finds Feather. Flora finally gets the head of the M, but is it too little too late? He's the only one that's fallen, and Lee Jae-gon has that res as per usual to bring him back into the fight. They spot Yakpong around the back. The Discord Orb that forces him to retreat over towards the spawn where he's nearly killed off.
DM's performing so well here, just putting out a ton of damage, getting a lot of kills. Turns out that when DM's not sniping, he gets the shy. He's doing excellently. You know, even though Flora managed to find a shot to get him down, Lee Jae-gon with the res is still there. Double ultimates available for the supports coming through from the side of Shanghai, and while the supports in New York, once again, it's Friday dead. JJoNak has to do this all on his lonesome. At least the trance is nearly there.
It does almost have that. Might get forced to use it rather soon here. Feather trying to throw in the pulse bomb, doesn't manage to get the stick on the Izayaki, so he will be holding his trance as well. They do not force it out. Valkyrie just going to be chaining those heals through everybody, keeping them topped up as both trances get popped. Yakpong's still going to be alive, but they flux him off the point. Beautifully done by Void, forcing them off the cart. Had that not happened, who knows which way the fight would have gone, but it's just a really good heads-up play from Void to just force them off the objective and glide it in with 2 minutes and 20 remaining.
Man, I don't know if you love to see it or hate to see it, but that's a moment for sure. I gotta say, right now, Shanghai looking comfortable, more than comfortable. I know people have criticized this Mercy Zen kind of duo on the back line, but understand this: unless the Tracer on the other team is really causing Izayaki a lot of problems, unless Izayaki in the ball or some sort of dive pressure is there to really force Izayaki's hand and make him have a bad game, this greedy backline is 100% effective. Think about this for a second. Neither Lee Jae-gon nor Izayaki's actually died so far this map. Beyond that as well, here's a fun stat for you. Izayaki, once again for this map, I think it's at least been 2 maps. I haven't checked stats for every single map, but here and also on Ilios, it's another support gap. It's another flex support gap, especially in the damage. It's more than double the damage, and both players have been kind of on the Zen here. So now you can't be like, well, there was some outer gameplay here, some back gameplay here. No, it's just been Zen. 3,600 damage versus 1,500 damage from JJoNak. It's quite a big difference.
Well, and that's is an attacking Zenyatta as well, so not having those defensive sightlines to really play around, trying to poke out with the right clicks. So it's a very good look for Izayaki. Now NYXL on the attack. Let's see what they can get done. Flora, I mean, he's been fairly consistent as far as finding some opening picks at the starts of these maps. You know, pulls off from there. Let's see if he can do it again. Finding somebody like Lee Jae Gon or Izayaki would be absolutely instrumental for them getting a swift cap on this point A.
You definitely need to see NYXL. You definitely need to see NYXL pressure in the backline a lot. Like I said, neither Lee Jae Gon or Izayaki have actually died yet, so that needs to happen soon. If NYXL want to climb this game, you got to stop Lee Jae Gon from getting free reses. Some of these reses should be punishable as well. A lot of pocketing over towards DM, and once again, when DM's in and you have Lee Jae Gon pocketing, that's where Shanghai want to find their carry. That's where they want to find the damage, and it's where DM's been doing a lot of it. So NYXL on this rotation have located the high ground, and now we kind of swap sides.
Oh, it's a good dink off the bat. There's the JJoNak that we know and love. Takes out the M at range, but Bianca sent off the side by Fade. Be looking for a little bit more here potentially as he continues to play in behind JJoNak, but JJoNak follows up for a second kill. There you go. Puts Izayaki in the ground at long last, but let's get pushed out. Shot over to the sides, operating by himself for now, but seems like he will be okay for the time being. But needs to get reset into the rest of his team. I don't think that's going to happen. Look at his HP bar. Yeah, Fleta gets on top of him, so that'll be it. Good accretion prediction there from Void. Knows exactly where Flora is going to hit the ground. Gets the kill. The pulse from Fleta finishes off Friday. And so far, you know, that's going to be about half the time bank gone from NYXL, and they really have yet to set foot on this point.
And Void raised as well, so you know, don't have to wait for him to come back through. Short-lived success there for JJoNak, who for a time being was reminding Izayaki that JJoNak was the regular season MVP in Season 1. So we'll deliver the first death of Izayaki's map so far via the Zen v Zen battle. Transcendence has been found. So 2 minutes, that's exactly halfway like you sort of mentioned. Looking towards ultimates, Flux is going to be good, or could it be good?
Drops him back down. The Transcendence will get used by JJoNak, but Feather still eliminated. Fleta goes in. Manages to find that kill. Mega Pack picked up by Fate just to keep himself topped up. Now there's going to be a bomb to try and delay Izayaki. He's going to have that second Transcendence available. 5% away from that. And I mean, Bianca doesn't even have the Flux, so who knows? Izayaki, he might not need to use this Transcendence unless somebody like Feather can get on top of him with a Pulse Bomb.
1 minute 30 left. I mean, yeah, look, Feather's Pulse Bomb is gone into nowhere. I was going to say into the Void, but Void is an end of the play. Yeah, Bob's going to come on through for more spacing as well.
DM's not lasting too long. They do have the bomb out onto the point to help them to get the cab coming through. One tick going to be picked up, and Shanghai, they're just playing this one out patiently. They know that they have a little bit of time on their side. They'll start cheating their way into the corners here as Lee Jae Gon just fluttering around with that Valkyrie, keeping himself in the air, but Flora, it's a very nice headshot. Maybe that could be the turn. Feather into the back, finds DM. Flooded with a Pulse Bomb, eliminating Friday, leaving just JJoNak on his lonesome now for all of the healing as Izayaki finally pops the Transcendence. We're down below a minute. NYXL need to get this cap. Flora just trying to get the track there. On a Flood is unable to do so. JJoNak gone. Feather out of the fight. They drop down. They find Flora. Yakpunk discorded. Does manage to take out Izayaki, but it's not long for this world. Or is Bianca. So Yakpunk will be the one who's able to survive. Just goes ahead, races all the way back over towards the spawn, but with 30 seconds remaining, they have to go all the way to the end. NYXL, can they get this cap on the back of a Flux?
Lee Jae Gon importantly comes back with Lucio as well, so is able to heal the team while Izayaki's dead. But more, you know, with the Flux you did mention is quite important, but also Lee Jae Gon's not on his mercy. You're not seeing the best composition now coming through from Shanghai just because the Lucio does exist on the field. So a couple more advantages, plus a trance online for JJoNak in just a hot second. This would have to be the fight. This is the best opportunity. Does the Flux miss? I think it did.
Izayaki, dangerous spot. The Dynamite finishes them off. They're currently ticking up over on the point, so they do extend this into overtime. Yakpunk playing forward, gets the kill onto Void, just sitting behind him, hammering away with that left click. Lee Jae Gon off the side of the map. Not sure if that was intentional or not, if it was just a fun little Lee Jae Gon moment. All the same, the fight will be won, and the cap will come through. Hopefully we'll get a replay to see just what exactly happened.
Dude.
But 2 minutes, 20 seconds in the time bank here, as Lee Jae Gon says, okay, you know what, let's go back to Mercy.
You never know with Lee Jae Gon Lucio. That's the thing. It's 50-50, man. Flip a coin. Sometimes it's just a Lee Jae Gon, you know, your adventure moment where he just goes off the map. Sometimes he does the most insane play you've ever seen on Lucio and it goes on Reddit. That's the classic credit Lucio there for you. So cap has been confirmed. It wasn't overtime, so it means only 2:30. Fate will go down. That's a good start. And Lucio Flora.
Yeah, then you lose out on him, and then Void just pushes up, finds Bianca. Card control wrested away from NYXL. Just about as quickly as they gained it, they lose it. getting chucked in. It's just absolute meat grinder here in the side room. Trying to hold on, but DM presses forward, gets that melee hit to get the finish on him. Feather, unfortunately, with the pulse, not going to be able to find a kill. So now Archway control is going to be set up here for Shanghai. Flux is available, and JJoNak does not yet have that Transcendence to try to counter it out.
And there's a lot of ultimates coming online, especially for NYXL, but you know, this fight needs to be won from here on out. If there's any hope for NYXL completing the map and maybe extending the series, they would have to probably cap B in overtime, cap C in overtime, basically everything in overtime. They got to get a move on, because that's still a pretty big ask as it is. Fate's quite low, but will survive. And they can't afford to wait around him. You see NYXL just kind of chilling right now. If they can't secure high ground, keep this payload moving, I mean, this is going to be done.
45 seconds remaining. Dynamite chunking him out. Flora has to pull back to try to get some healing. Waits for the pack to respawn. Yakupeng in the meantime still just swinging around somewhere out there in the distance. Discorded up. Barely manages to make it out to safety. Needs to get topped up.
Taking high ground. Finally.
Rotating their way around. So much to deal with right now from the side of Shanghai. Void goes in, has the Flux, dips around the corner to try to keep himself safe. Get a decent little amount of shielding there by absorbing the Bob's damage. Drops back down. Cart starting to inch forward yet again as we get ready to run down into OT. Dynamite straight down off the ground. Pulse bomb chucked out. JJoNak, I almost thought he was going to leap into it for a second, but does manage to avoid the damage. His Fate has fallen, so the front line is broken down. DM now going to be gone. They get rid of that hard-hitting artillery player on the side of Shanghai, but the res comes back in, putting DM right back into the fight. Flux is out from Bianca, drops her to the ground, doesn't manage to find any kills. The Transcendence expired now from Izayaki. Feather and JJoNak both have fallen. Flooded eliminated by Yakupeng, but they need so much more than that if they want to get this into B and get a little bit of extra time in the bank. Bianca finished off, but Izayaki eliminated. They have to stay glued to the card. This is going to start bleeding away very rapidly. It's really just Friday and Yakupeng who could play this far forward. Friday is gone. The accretion's done there onto Yakupeng as he just desperately rolls around, trying to keep himself obscured out of line of sight, but it's not going to be good enough. They cannot make it to B. They cannot make it a close series. Shanghai Dragons, they will take this as well as their top 4 spot in the region on the back of a 3-0.
And it's hard to bet against the Shanghai Dragons. I mean, even when they look like they may be stumbling, even when it looks like maybe Shanghai Dragons are not up to the reputation that the Shanghai Dragons kind of set for themselves last year, you still just can't really bet against them, not at least at this stage. Maybe a little bit further on when Shanghai will be matched up against Philadelphia Fusion. That's going to be a great game, but NYXL, unfortunately, they can't get across the line. There was a capability. There was the possibility of them maybe doing it. I think they would have needed maybe a 3-0. Yeah, 3-0 would have had them above 3-1. I think would have not been good enough. So they would have needed a 3-0. By my calculations, I think New York would have needed a 3-0 to actually make it into the top 4 here. So it was a very kind of specific margin for the NYXL. And they needed to play like a perfect game. And unfortunately, it was definitely not a perfect game from NYXL today. It was a much better game coming through from the Shanghai Dragons. So well done to the Shanghai Dragons. And well done for making the top 4.
Yeah, I mean, they get themselves locked in there. I mean, like we said, still a lot later on than we would have anticipated. A lot of people would have expected Shanghai to be the first or at least the second team to get locked into that top 4. So qualifying as the last team still does show that there's a little bit of rockiness to them overall, but they look much better here today compared to what we saw yesterday. Granted, that was also Hangzhou playing out of their minds. But this was a lot more stock standard from them, barring that first round of well. So a lot more stability. We got to see DM come back in, still performed quite well on the Ashe. So, it's been proven. You don't need no lip, no win is nonsense, as it turns out. But for NYXL, I mean, they're still in this building phase. It's still the infancy of this new roster, so we have to just kind of keep our eyes on them and see how they're going to continue to develop. We've seen glimmers of hope from them throughout this series here, individual performances. Especially from the likes of Flora with his Ashe, he was doing a fantastic job. So there is still yet hope for them. It's just about finding that stride and that cohesion that will, certainly come with time.
And maybe part of me thinks could NYXL, if we went to like a more brawl-favored map, can NYXL's brawl been good against Shanghai? But even then, you look at Shanghai's brawl yesterday versus Hangzhou, where, as you said, Hangzhou were playing out of their minds, and it wasn't still wasn't quite enough, especially when they moved away from the double bubble. Just more question marks for NYXL, because I'd like to imagine that there's a matchup there that they can kind of win. To me today, though, especially when I confirm it with stats, it does just seem like NYXL got kind of team diffed here. Feather wasn't up to scratch for your Fleta, which is probably not that surprising. When DM came in versus Flora, I think Flora had a great game when Lip was in, but when DM starts coming in, then DM is finding a decent amount of the frags there compared to what Flora was finding. And then obviously the Easyaki versus Jonak stats, where Easyaki was miles ahead of Jonak, especially on that last map of Blizzard World.
Yeah, it was just a solid stuff, overall from them. So he might not have played in the last map, but our player of the match is in fact going to be Lip. So it was a wonderful performance from him. I mean, we got to see him crack out the Widowmaker on a few different occasions, and overall, it's just everything that you would come to expect from him, just based on last year and the start of this. Lip is still very much a force to be reckoned with for Shanghai.
I think it's important for people to remember as well that Lip isn't just the Sombra guy, because he's kind of built up their brand. Like, yeah, I'm like a Sombra player now. But as we head towards all the different metas that Shanghai are playing through, Lip is going to be able to play McCree. He's going to be able to play the Widow, the Ashe, and here to remind NYXL and the rest of the people watching at home as well, where Lip is a real threat. He's a legitimate damage threat. You're seeing on Ilios, on Temple of Anubis, a lot of these very impactful kills. Lip really allows Shanghai Dragons to get those massive advantages. And that's on top of the rest of his team performing well as well.
Yeah, I mean, when you have everybody firing on all cylinders, I mean, Fleta as well just had such a phenomenal series, but this is just such a scary DPS duo, and seeing DM come in for Blizzard World just shows that there's still a good amount of depth here that both Lip and DM can perform at similar levels. I personally still think that they look a bit more cohesive, and I think the communication might be overall improved when Lip is on the roster. It seems like there's a bit more follow-up to each other's damage, but it's good to see DM get some playtime as well and still find success, because he is an extremely talented player in his own right. So I don't want him to be left out in the shadows. But for today, in the limelight, it will be Lip yet again. No headshot kills coming in with the Ashe, so that's a little bit of an awkward one to see. But
body
he's
shot
getting
only.
the final blows, he's getting his eliminations. Yeah, but I mean, if we looked at his Widowmaker stats, it would be a little bit different, because he did have several of those headshots coming through as well with that pick. So
I think his Widowmaker definitely got a lot more Widowmaker headshots. So even we even saw in the replays there. I mean, like we confirmed the headshots were indeed found. But as far as the Ashe goes, and most of the Ashe was played on Ilios, where you're body shotting, Yukpong. Those coach gun kills were hilarious, by the way. I'm glad we got those in the replays, because I think you and I were both just scratching our heads like, how is Yukpong dying to these again? Like, it's so just seeing Lip's impact on Ilios. Pretty good stuff. Widowmaker's there, and again, he's not just that like Sombra one trick that some people might think.
Yeah, I'm still curious as to how Lee Jae-gon died there on Blizzard World, but enough about that. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see it, but maybe somebody will reveal the secrets for us in the future here. But let's go ahead and jump straight into our game break presented by Cheez It Grooves, as well as our crunch time. And I believe that there was a particular part of Temple of Anubis that you wanted to go over, Avril.
Yeah, a couple of places here. We can take a look at the firstborn camp. So obviously, Yukpong will die and Shanghai Dragons start to get quite aggressive here. There's a couple of players caught in the side room, which I did question, like, what are Ivy and Friday? I think it's more importantly Friday. I think he was just trying to play out of sight. But Shanghai Dragons, they have a lot of confidence here. You're going to see it over towards B as well. But this spawn camp does eventually get punished. You'll see all these frags come in, and then eventually Lip dies. And here's part of the difficulty is if you start losing members that are untraded, then your defense is going to start falling apart, because Fate has to dive in here. You see the res coming through on towards Lip, but the Fleta gets punished, and this domino stack, this house of cards being built up on this very aggressive hold starts to really fall apart quickly. So NYXL find themselves in A camp off the back of, I think, Shanghai overstepping.
Yeah, a minor little one. Like you said, domino effect is a really good way to put it. Just, you lose one, they go in, they get the res, they lose another, and then just given that spawn advantage, playing that, so far close, you're always going to be outnumbered. It's such a far run back at that point. So unless you play it absolutely pristinely, which they were initially, it can get punished, and it did end up allowing for NYXL to finally get some footing and be able to take that point A. But I mean, we did see a similar thing happen over on the point B defense. They're playing far forward. And just forcing NYXL to use their ultimates away from the point, so that by the time they finally got over there, they had really limited tools to work with, and then it was Shanghai who actually did have that spawn advantage, could quickly get back in. I mean, you saw they were able to turn around a fight that looked like NYXL were going to be able to win. It seemed like they should have been able to get that cap happening in OT, but Shanghai, they played that second half of the map to a T. It was beautifully done, and that set them up with match point, and then they close it out on Blizzard World. So it was really solid stuff. But with that series in the bag, we do have our bracket established with our top 4 here for the Melee. So taking a look at it. This is starting, reminder, tomorrow. We're going straight into these matches. There's not going to be any kind of extended break. These teams have 24 hours to prepare. Starting things off, it is going to be the Shanghai Dragons going up against the Philadelphia Fusion. And then we get the Chengdu Hunters versus Seoul Dynasty.
What I can tell you here, Seth, and this is my expert analysis, is orange team's good, and then obviously some other hot colors like red coming through as well. So it's about the color schemes today, is how you decipher where the good APAC teams are. I know APAC's a little bit tricky right now. It's a very topsy-turvy kind of region, hard to predict, but just always bet on the orange team, which means did Philly just win? Did Chengdu just win here? What's crazy to me is between Fusion and Dragons, one of these two teams don't make it to Melee. How crazy is that?
It's going to be pretty wild. I mean, both of those series absolutely stacked. I mean, Shanghai looking improved, but Fusion just being so dominant in the region so far when, a lot of people had some lopsided expectations of them, having to pick up the likes of Toby and Hoppa coming in, but they've slotted in so very well. This does feel like this is going to be a Fusion favored matchup. Shanghai, though, showing those improvements. Is it going to be enough for them to make it competitive? Is it going to be enough for them to be able to best them and eliminate them is the big question. And then I think for the second series, Chengdu versus Seoul, I think that one could get absolutely down and dirty. I don't know about you, but I think that one might go off the rails a little bit.
Both of them. I expect both matches to be absolutely fantastic. And, only 2 teams obviously get to represent the Eastern region at the main Melee and only 2 from NA as well. And it all gets decided this weekend. So hang tight, buckle up.
Yeah, make sure you guys set your alarms because you do not want to miss those matches. They're going to be absolutely insane. They're going to be enthralling, and they're going to be coming at you the same plays at the same time. So make sure you guys tune in. Check your reminders on YouTube and all that good stuff so you do not miss any of the action. You don't have to catch those encore streams and whatnot unless you got job or family to take care of, and in which case, whatever. Catch the encore one. But you want to be there live. You want to be there when it's actually happening, so make sure you are. We'll be there. NZP will be there, so make sure you tune in. That's it for us here tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. So much flavor, it's a mind crunch.